Hi everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. So I'm here today with Susan Booth from Target Ovarian Cancer, and we are going to be continuing with our lockdown series and discussing how the lockdown and the current situation has affected all the different industries. So today we are talking about the charity industry and specifically Target Ovarian Cancer. So Susan, do you want to take it away and just introduce yourself and what you do and all that kind of thing?
Wonderful. Well, firstly, thank you for inviting me to join you, Natalie. I'm really excited about being here.
You're welcome.
So, thank you. So, so I'm Susan. I'm the Director of Development at Target Ovarian Cancer. I've been with Target Ovarian Cancer for about 6 years now. And I've been in fundraising well over 20 now. So worked from, hospices through to the RSPCA, to Teenage Cancer Trust, and here I am at Target Ovarian Cancer. So my job, my role, development, it's fundraising. It's about making sure that we have enough income to deliver all of our services to women with ovarian cancer across the UK. So we work to improve early diagnosis. We do a lot of work with GPs and with women themselves. We also fund life-saving research into finding new treatments for ovarian cancer. And importantly, we also provide support for women with ovarian cancer as well. Mm-hmm. So to do all of that across the UK, we need to be raising over £2 million a year, and every year since I've been with Target Ovarian Cancer, we've been growing the income and growing our reach and the women that we're helping and the work that we've been doing, and we've achieved some pretty amazing things thanks to the support that we've had. And I've had a lot of fun working with some pretty inspirational people who just do the maddest things to raise money. And it's been a real source of joy for me. And so it's been wonderful to see the difference that we've been making. Because there's a huge amount of women that are diagnosed each year. I mean, it's well over 7,000 that are diagnosed with ovarian cancer in the UK every year. And it's a difficult disease to treat. It's a difficult one to spot early enough, and it's very difficult to treat further down the line. So the sooner we get people diagnosed, the better.
Because there's a lot of symptoms, aren't there, with with ovarian cancer, which, it could be anything. So that's where it gets tricky, isn't it? There's, I know when I first because I've worked with you guys quite a few times, we've had some good fun. And I remember when I first, because I hadn't really looked into it properly. And, I'm a 30-year-old woman. When we started working together, when I was, 26 maybe. And I wasn't even really too aware of the symptoms and everything. And I remember when I first started looking into it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, these are symptoms which we could have and it could be absolutely nothing. So you wouldn't think necessarily to come and get tested. And, you have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everyone's benefit, the symptoms are feeling bloated, needing to wee a bit more often, having some abdominal pain and feeling full. And they're symptoms that they generally tend to get confused with things like irritable bowel syndrome or the menopause. And it's really important that if they're persistent and they're not normal for you, that you really should go and see your GP and just get it checked out. Even in the midst of the pandemic that we're in at the moment, you can still see your GP.
I think that's so important, actually, because people might just assume that you can't, so they won't even pick up the phone.
Yeah, well, it's a massive problem at the moment. What we've seen over the last sort of 6 to 7 weeks since lockdown started has been a huge drop in referrals from GPs into secondary care, which suggests that women aren't going to their GPs and being diagnosed. And we're worried that one of the big impacts of coronavirus on the sort of the cancer community, if you like, is the fact that people aren't being picked up quickly. And speed is of the essence. It's really, really important to get diagnosed as soon as possible. So any delays, can impact further down the line. And, it's a big worry at the moment. So, we're trying to get that message out there that, it doesn't, okay, there's a lot going on outside at the moment, but if there's a lot going on for you, you still need to go and see your GP. It's still really important.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings me on quite nicely to my next question, actually. So do you want to just give an insight into, you know, the last kind of 6 or 7 weeks, you know, what has that been like for you as a charity and for you and your particular role?
Gosh, well,
not easy.
Well, where do you start? I mean, my goodness, no one could have predicted just how just world-changing this would be. I mean, for us, we have had to completely throw everything up in the air and just go, right, okay, let's start again. Where do we go from here? What does this look like? So, I mean, for us, you know, we when we first started talking about it, we were still based in our office in London. And I remember a conversation, we were talking about the fundraising because it was coming up to our busiest period. You know, we had the London Marathon coming up in April, and there was, you know, all our big fundraisers going on. And we had a big Run for Mum event that we were going to have on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
We were so excited about. It was the first year we were going to do it. We had, you know, over 200 people coming to do it in Hyde Park. You know, everything was ready. We had the volunteers ready, the marshals ready. It was, you know, we really got to a point where it was raising. I think we raised over 50,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
In advance of the event, so it was going to be, for us, it was going to be huge. And I remember having a conversation with the chief exec about it, and it was very much a case of, well, you know, this might not happen. Yeah, it's likely that we're going to be told that we can't leave the house, that, you know, we're going to have to cancel all these mass participation events. Now, remember, it was on the Friday before the weekend of lockdown. We got a message from London Marathon, and I was travelling back from London on the train, and I just saw the news: London Marathon has been postponed until you know, October. And it was like, oh my god, it's real. For me, that was it. It was real. It's happening. And so we had to, you know, cancel Run for Mum, or postpone it. We're just waiting for a new date. We've had to obviously deal with all of our fundraisers who'd done all of their training and raised thousands of pounds. So right, we'll have to wait until the autumn, trying to support them with that as well. And then on the Wednesday, after the announcement from London Marathon, we had to leave the office in London. And as an organisation of, you know, nearly 30 people, we've never all worked remotely at the same time before. We were working on an IT system that just wasn't designed for that.
Oh my god, and that's almost like a totally separate issue, isn't it? Like the IT side of it.
Oh my goodness, it was crazy. We in crisis mode. We went into, right, okay, business continuity. Well, what do we need first? Got to get the IT sorted. We've got to be able to operate from home, and you know, we did it. It was hard, but we did it, you know, and that's really great. And then you asked me about sort of my role, and then how things changed for us. I mean, obviously for us, the first couple of weeks of lockdown was very much dealing with supporters, dealing with the postponed events, dealing with everything that was going on, and just reaching out to people. We spent a lot of time getting on the phone and just saying to people, how are you doing? You know, how are things for you? How are you coping with all of this? And just having conversations. And that was just invaluable. It was so good just to touch in with everyone and just say, you know, so how's it going? And I think that was really, really valued. And then, of course, we then started at the same time in parallel with this. We had to think about, as it wasn't just the fundraising events like Run for Mum that got cancelled or postponed. We also had to cancel our face-to-face support events. And obviously, you know, we'd raise money for those, so I had to go and speak to funders, and also we had to speak to the women, and we had to offer an alternative. So all of a sudden, our focus and our work pivoted from being face-to-face events, you know, going around the UK and bringing women together, to trying to gather women together online, digitally, which, again, I mean, none of us had used Zoom.
Yeah, I mean, the online world is so different for so many people, so new for so many people. Like I've been fortunate enough, I've worked online for the last kind of three and a half years. So for me, there's not really been any change in what I'm doing. It's a lot of it is the same kind of thing. But for the majority of people, it's all totally new. And that's a huge adaptation in itself, let alone everything else that you've got to deal with.
Well, first of all, we had to teach ourselves how to set up meetings and things on Zoom, and then we had to write guides to give to our fundraisers and to our women so that they could join our events and do their own events. So it's been a steep learning curve, I have to say.
Yeah, I can imagine. So on, a day-to-day basis, obviously you've just kind of covered the general gist of what you've been doing over the last, 6-7 weeks, but on a day-to-day basis, in comparison to what you would do at the office, has there been any drastic, other than working online, has there been any drastic changes, or are you just kind of carrying on with what you were previously doing, but, obviously bringing it online now?
It's funny. So our fundraising, we've got quite a diverse sort of portfolio of activities. So we do a lot of community and events fundraising, which obviously is now pretty much all on hold.
Yeah.
And that's meant quite a shift in focus for us.
Yeah.
Because obviously now we're focusing on reaching out to charitable trusts and foundations and talking to existing supporters and trying to access some of the emergency funds that have become available for charities like us who are working with a community of beneficiaries that have been affected by COVID-19 and will be over the coming months. I think as I alluded to earlier, particularly with women not being diagnosed as quickly, and the other flip side of the coin is the capacity in the NHS at the moment. Women have had their, and it varies across the country, of course, but a lot of women have had their treatments cancelled or delayed or changed, because chemotherapy affects your immune system, and it's in a pandemic like this, they've had to make changes to things to create safe spaces and so on. So that again has been huge, and we will see a longer term impact of that further down the line. So for us, our focus really shifted, because obviously, as I said, we work on early diagnosis, research and support. With the research, a lot of the research projects are now on hold because the labs aren't open, and we will hope to see those coming back online when the labs start to reopen. But we have pivoted and made a big focus on our support side of things. So we had a massive surge of women getting in touch with our support line, phoning for information and wanting to know about the changes to their treatments and what that meant for them. So we've working very hard on that, like I said, creating the events, the support events that they would have had in the online space. And the fundraising side of things, my big focus has been putting together an appeal that we've been able to then send out to the trusts and the foundations and our existing supporters and say, hey, please can you get involved. And we've had we had some free advertising that came up in the Sunday Times, which was amazing. So thank you to them, and that's been brilliant. So we got some donations off the back of that, and we've just been just out, and so far I think we've raised over £100,000, which I'm really pleased about.
That's incredible. In what, 6 weeks?
About that,
probably less than 6 weeks by the time I guess you actually got everything kind of up and running and doing everything that you wanted to do. But that's incredible.
Really pleased with it. So it's going to make a difference, and moving forwards, we need to keep going. We're now going to be going into quieter period over the summer, and just hope that with sort of the easing of the restrictions, that some fundraising can start up again, and we can see what takes us.
Amazing. Because as you mentioned, March, it's between like March and May, isn't it, which is like your biggest fundraising time. So it's not like this has happened in a quiet time anyway. This has been like the key period of time for you. So but you're obviously doing you're doing all the right things and doing everything that you can. There's not really anything else you can do, really, is there, other than just what you're currently doing? So do you have any specific campaigns at the moment that, you know, we can get involved with? And, you know, if anyone's watching this who wants to support you, what is it that we can, you know, we can do to help you?
Oh, thank you. Well, gosh, we've got a couple of things that have been going on that people can get involved with. So we've got our 17 mile challenge. You know, so it's like you know, you can use your allocated daily exercise to run, jog, walk, crawl 17 miles.
Crawl, that'll be me. Crawling down the road.
We're coming towards the end.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we've got that people can do sort of in their own time and just set up a Just Giving page and go for it. And that's you know, because it you know, it costs us, you know, it will cost us £17 to be able to help another person through the support line and the emails and so on. So there's quite a clear sort of link to what that's going to help us do moving forwards.
Brilliant.
So yeah, there'll be bits and pieces like that people can get involved in. Lots of, as I said, we've got our Zoom guides on our website. So
everything's ready, everything's set to go. Amazing. Well, you can give me the links of those things, you know, how we can help, and I'll post those underneath this video so that we can all access that. Okay, you're welcome. So moving on, so do you think, obviously we've discussed, you know, the differences that have been made, you know, what you've had to adapt to given the circumstances. Do you think that the charity sector kind of overall is going to have any kind of big changes when this all kind of goes back to normal? Because obviously it's been such a huge shock. You know, are there any kind of changes that you think as a charity specifically you guys are going to do, or just the charity sector in general? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Gosh, well, there's lots of opinions sort of across the sector around what may happen, but I think and this is my opinion, I think what we are seeing is a lot of charities are going to not get through this. You know, when your fundraising income just stops dead like that, you know, you've got to do all you can to keep going, but particularly those that don't have a link to or aren't directly affected by COVID-19, it's going to be very, very difficult. You know, I think there will be a real shake-up of you know, sort of winners and losers, you know, those that can make it through this period, and those that unfortunately can't. And I think in terms of practice and how things will change, I mean, it all depends on I suppose whether we get a second wave later on in the year, if we experience a second peak. I think some of the fear that well, the worry that I'm picking up on from other fundraisers is that you know, it's all very well we get back to normal come the autumn, but then if we get a second wave and we have to regress back into lockdown, you know, the income stops again. Your charity reserves only take you for so far. You know, I think a lot of places are going to be looking at that period, you know, 6 to 9 months down the line, where they're going to be wanting to build their reserves back up to make up for having to have used them at this time. So I think there's, you know, the very small charities I think will really struggle, are struggling. The very big ones as well. I mean, you're talking massive drops in income there. It's as you said, I think it's how people sort of change and adapt and so on. I mean, I've talked a lot about generating income, obviously it's my role, but we've also done a lot in looking at our costs, and you know, sort of, you know, negotiating free rent periods whilst we're not in the office, and then thinking about, you know, well, what does this look like moving forwards? Do we need as much space? Can we have smaller space? You know, starting to have those sorts of conversations, because it's, you've got to have an eye on both sides of things, and making sure that you're doing the right thing. I think one of the things that I'm very proud of for Target Ovarian Cancer and how we have gone through this crisis has been that, you know, women with ovarian cancer have been absolutely our top priority. They've been the ones that we have spoken to and that we have been guided by. We've asked them, what is it you need from us? What help do you need from us at this stage? What are the things that you're experiencing? And we've worked, we've amended our, adapted our services to match these immediate needs at the moment, and the ones that we can start seeing are going to be coming through over the next coming months. And the other thing is we're very grounded in our values. And it's really, one of our values is to be supportive, and that has shone through with everything that we've done, the way that we've managed our costs, the way that we've supported our staff, and the way that we're, trying to support our supporters and, and the women with ovarian cancer. And I'm extremely proud of that, because I think that will, in the longer term, really, just makes me proud to work where I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, like, obviously this is it's an awful time, and it's a struggle for so many people, and it's a struggle for you as a charity. But at the same time, like you just said, everything that you're doing now, that will benefit the charity, and it will benefit those who are suffering later, even though now it's not the best time, of course, but all the work that you're doing now will then benefit everything in the long run as well, which I think is amazing.
Well, I think that's the hope. That's the hope, and I think it, as long as at the end of the day that you've done your very best, and that everyone around you is doing that as well, then that's it. That's fine. That's you can be proud of that. You just got to do your best.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes for everyone in this situation, doesn't it? I think so many people are worrying they're not doing enough, or whatever they're thinking. But whatever business you're in, whether it's a personal situation, whatever, but as long as you're doing all that you can do in this current situation, then that's all that matters, like you said.
Because it is hard. You look at the scale of the problem that's in front of everybody, and it's hard to think sort of beyond the end of next week, never mind sort of a few months down the line. But you've just got to know that if you've done your best, that's good. And if you've got a set of values to live by and to work with, I think that makes it a lot easier as well, because it gives you meaning, and it just helps you keep focused on what's really important at the end of the day.
Absolutely, I totally agree. So for just to kind of finish up, do you have any advice or any kind of like words that you want to say to people, either people in the charity industry, maybe those smaller charities, or even the bigger charities who you feel would benefit from any knowledge that you've gained during this time, and also for your supporters? Like, obviously you've mentioned there's a couple of campaigns which we can get involved in, but if there's anything else that your supporters can do, like, we would love to hear from you.
Oh, lovely. Well, one of the really, really lovely things that's happened, I think, within the charity sector through this awful crisis has been just the amount of collaboration that I've seen, and the willingness to pull together and to work together on things. And I just think that's been absolutely amazing. I mean, we've seen it not just with sort of other sort of charities, but also with our corporate supporters and so on, sort of reaching out to us, and seeing ways in which we can work together on things, even though it's not originally what we planned, which is fine. But with other charities, I mean, as you know, a lot of staff have been furloughed, making use of the government's job retention scheme. What we have seen is a lot of volunteering, with people volunteering for other charities, because obviously you can't volunteer for your own charity if you've been furloughed. Which is really tricky. That would have been brilliant, but that
would have been great.
Do that, but we can't. But we have been approached by other people wanting to come and volunteer for us, and I'd really encourage that, because I think having being furloughed does give you the gift of time, in that you can go and really develop your skills, maybe try a different type of fundraising, or just work for a different type of charity. And it can be really sort of useful when you then go back, to have had the ability to do that. It's like having the chance to do a sabbatical all of a sudden, which you always have in your mind, I want to do one at some point, and I'm going to get around to it. But now's a great time to take advantage of the situation and do that. And obviously from the charity's perspective, it's great because it's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Susan. I've really appreciated you having joined me today, and lots of useful information for, you know, for everybody. So thank you so much. Just before we finish up, do you just want to let people know where they can find you, how we can support you, or your links, or your online links and everything like that?
Sure, thank you. Well, again, thank you so much for having me today. It's been really fun. So you can find us, well, obviously online, targetovariancancer.org.uk. There's on the front homepage, we've got all of our information for women with ovarian cancer around coronavirus. There's some really useful links to videos and things with our nurses explaining what it means for you and your treatment and so on. So yeah, loads of really, really good information. So do go and have a look at that. We're also on all the usuals, Instagram, Facebook and so on. So yeah, please do go and find us. And yeah, that's where we post sort of everything that comes up.
Yeah, your Twitter, I follow you guys obviously everywhere, but your Twitter feed specifically is amazing. Like, you post everything. I can keep up to date with everything you're doing on there. So yeah, amazing. Well, I'll post all those links under here anyway, so everyone can access them easily. But thank you so much, and we will definitely catch up soon. And I can't wait to get involved in some of your events afterwards when this is all over as well.
No, I can't wait to see everyone again after this is over.
Have some human interaction.
Indeed.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Susan, and thank you to everybody who has been watching. Feel free to press like if you've enjoyed this video and if you found this useful, and please subscribe as well to this channel to keep up to date with all of, you know, all this business information and what we can do moving forward. So thank you so much, and I will speak to you guys very, very soon.